4 weeks ago, Steve Collins came in and we talked about confessing those sins and the healing that goes along with that. And we talked about all of those things, that thing that separates us from God. 2 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, a couple weeks ago, I got up here and took that to the next level, and that was, what was that thing when you're in that valley, when you don't feel God, when it's not an unconfessed sin? Where do you go with that? Do you stay there? Because we talked about that valley is in the middle of two mountains. And he wants to just take us through that, and he wants to walk through that with us. And he wants to take us to that next mountaintop. Last week, Josh was here, and he talked about those plans, my plan or God's plan. And it came down to a matter of choices. What choices am I going to make in the middle of this? Because it is really my choice. I still have free will. No matter what goes on, I still have that free will. And I tell you, coming out of my talk 2 weeks ago, God has taken me out of that valley, and He's just shot me up that mountain. And it's been an incredible thing. And I'm going to talk to you about that through what we're going to talk about today. But this has been something that what I'm talking about today that I've been living for the last 2 weeks. And it is hard, and it's emotional. And it's going to be hard for me to talk about. So, can we get a seat? Is there an extra seat back there? Yeah, there's one over here. So one thing that I know about all of us, that's common to all of us, is that somewhere, whether it's current or whether it's in our past, that there is some type of discord, some type of friction, some type of broken relationship. Now, I don't know what it could be with you. I know with me, as I've prepared for this, it has been all kinds of relationships that God has just thrown up in my face and said, look at this. What are we going to do about this? And so this is the path that He's had me on for the last 2 weeks. And I don't know whether for you it's a mother, a father, a brother, a sister, a stepdad, a stepmom. Maybe it's a coworker. Maybe it's an old friend. Maybe it's an old business partner. Somewhere along the line, something happened, something was said, something was done, either by us or by them, and that created this friction, this thing where our relationship has just kind of separated and parted. And yet I think if we're honest with ourselves, I don't know what it is. Sometimes I think down deep inside, and maybe it's a holiday, maybe it's a song, maybe it's being in a certain place. And I go back and I remember, and that thought comes to my mind of what that relationship used to look like before it was severed. And I think, honestly, if we really go down deep inside of us, I think we really desperately, down deep inside, we desperately really want to reconnect in some way, or to resolve that tension. A tension that carries forward from the past and is still present in our relationships, because we carry baggage. We're good at carrying baggage. We carry past failures and hurts from relationships, and we carry them into our future, and we carry them into our present relationships. And I think, sometimes I think if I could go back, if I could turn back time, and if I could just be careful about what I said or what I'd done, or maybe I could have responded in a different way to what was said or what was done to me. maybe it would have been different. Maybe things wouldn't have been severed. Maybe I wouldn't be struggling with all these relationships in my life that I have no reconnection to. There's a story in the Bible. And, you know, I got to tell you, this book right here, the Bible, we're talking about reconciliation today. This book is one big book of reconciliation. That's all it's about. It starts in the beginning with Adam, and it's God's movement throughout history to reconcile relationships, to reconcile us to Him. And in the middle of all of that, God wants to do something incredible in our lives. I'm going to pause for a second. Oh, we got it. Okay. There's a story about Jacob and Esau. And you know, I've read these stories my entire life. We all, most of us already know the story of Jacob and Esau. Jacob and Esau, Esau comes out first. Jacob comes right behind him. He's grabbing onto his heel. Right. Jacob steals Esau's birthright. That whole process. Esau's response is, as soon as Dad dies, I'm going to kill you. Jacob finds out about it. He heads off to a faraway land, lives with his uncle Laban. For 20 years, there is that separation. For 20 years, he stayed as far away from his brother as possible. Dad's not dead yet, so he doesn't really have to worry about Esau coming after him, because Esau wouldn't do anything while Dad is still alive. And then, in Genesis 31:13, after 31:3, after 20 years of separation, it says, "Then the Lord said to Jacob, go back to the land of your fathers and to your relatives, and I will be with you." And you know, I have to think, if that was me, and God had said go back, and I knew first off, my brother's last thing he said to me was, I'm going to kill you, and Dad was still alive, to me that's just stupid. All right? You know, I know God is wise. I know He knows all things, but in my own mind, I think I go to that place where I say, I don't know about this God. I got no indication that you've changed anything back there with Esau. I haven't talked to him in 20 years. This can't be good. I stole his birthright. This can't be good. And so, but in spite of all that, the cool thing about Jacob is that he actually responds and does what God asked him to do. And to me, that amazes me just in that. The thing that happened was, as he was started in this process, as he started moving his family and his sheep and all of those things back to his land of his relatives, as he was going through that process, he sent out some people ahead of him. He said, go and see my brother Esau and tell him that your servant Jacob is coming back. And I think it's pretty cool, because as Jacob's servants came back to him, they said to him, we've got good news. Well, he didn't really say that in the Bible, but this is what it is. So there's good news and there's bad news. The good news is your brother Esau is coming to meet you. The bad news, he's got 400 men with him. Now, I don't know about you, but I think I would just turn around at that point and say, this is not going to work out. This is not going to be good. I'd have turned tail and ran back the other way, because that's just affirmation in my mind. This is not going to turn out the way that I wanted it to. But instead, Jacob cried out to God. He said, save me, I pray, from the hand of my brother Esau, for I am afraid he will come and attack me, and also the mothers and their children. But you have said, I will surely make you prosper.